Good afternoon and welcome to this very interesting session. Uh, so just before we start, I will, like to set a perspective that we are in this VUCA world, and what there is volatility, uncertainty, which creates complexity and lots of ambiguity. Constant, unpredictable change is now the norm. So in this environment, how do we leverage technology to change the insurance operating model today? Is what we'll like to discuss. So in this environment, how do insurers keep pace with changing customer mindsets and combat complexities of the future with simplicity and ease? And to navigate this, today we have a very diverse and experienced panel with us. So this panel shares over 6 decades of experience in the insurance technology space, delivering innovations and transformations for large insurers globally. So please welcome first Mr. Rajat Sharma. So Rajat brings in over 2 decades of experience in the insurance technology space, developing many innovative products and managing products ranging from insurance core to back office to middle office. Currently, Rajat is working as the CRO for Insuramo product for eBioTech. Next, please welcome Mr. Gurinder Singh. Gurinder heads the insurance business vertical in the APAC region for AWS. Again, Gurinder has close to 20 years of experience working across insurance carriers, software solution providers, and CSPs. And finally, please welcome Mr. Rajiv Bhatia. Rajiv heads the global insurance delivery services for CRM Next. He again brings in over 2 decades of experience delivering transformation projects across sales, service, partners, and channels for large insurance customers, including MetLife, AIA, AXA, and Allianz. So I'm confident that in the next 30 to 40 minutes, we'll get some very unique insights from the panelists on how we can leverage technology and modernize the operating models for the changing customer expectations. Again, before I request Rajat to take the floor, I just have an exciting announcement for all our attendees. There is a link for a survey in the chat box. So I request you to complete the survey and get us your perspective on the insurance technology space. So I request now Rajat to take the floor and begin the panel.
Thanks a lot, Rahul, and good to see a panel like this. So we have somebody like Gurinder who's coming from a massive cloud company and huge amount of insurance experience. Rajiv obviously comes from CRM Next, very close to the customers who are trying to change the customer experience, right? So, and while I come from eBioTech, which is again in the core insurance tech space, but what I represent is basically the Insuramo piece of business, which is nothing but the platform business that we run. So I think before we start the session, and I think the topic is very apt, customer experience, and why, I mean, customer experience has always been a topic. It's not new, right? It was always a topic 20 years back. It is again a topic now. I think the only thing is that, how this customer experience has changed. The biggest reason for that is the customer itself is changing, right? The buying pattern, the profile of the customer keeps changing, right? Whether that's a 20-year-old becomes a 60-year-old, or the next Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z come. The fact is, there are always triggers because of which these customer buying patterns change, and because of which, companies, whether these are insurance carriers, whether these are banks, whether these are internet companies, they have to adapt to how the customer actually reacts. So I think while we are discussing this panel today, I want to again take clue from what has been happening in the last 2 years. And I don't want to sound very boring because everybody talks about COVID, everybody talks about pandemic. But the fact is, we have seen that, and that is the biggest trigger. That's probably brought the biggest transformation in the world. Every single industry has single-handedly try to transform overnight, right? Whether these are the largest banks in the world or these are startups who are, kind of trying to come. And when they saw pandemic coming in, lockdowns coming all over, people getting locked down in their houses, so they had no way but to, kind of quickly transform. So I think I'll take that as the base of our discussion. Let's take pandemic and let's take customer experience. So with that, I think let me first of all bring Rajiv, because Rajiv, you are very close to the customers, right? Who are trying to change, you're trying to change the customer experience. Can you share something on how your applications, how your CRM, how you are trying to change how you see the shift? What is the shift that you see in the overall industry, and how are you trying to address that shift?
Thank you, Rajat. Good afternoon to all the panelists, and very good afternoon to our attendees, our listeners. So Rajat has set the context very well. Two aspects. One, customer experience. Every business is people business, and insurance above all touches the human lives directly and all the aspects of our lives. So it's an emotional connect. COVID bringing further change, redefining the need and purpose of insurance in everyone's life: health, life, auto. So traditionally, insurance industry was considered very conservative. They're now moving from legacy to innovation. And that kind of happened almost overnight. The thoughts were always there, the plan was always there, but the shift happened overnight when the COVID struck. The operating model changed. So apart from that, there were other harsh market conditions, customer demanding customer. So it's two-way street. Customer changing the market conditions and the new trends, new innovations, giving them thoughts, plans, how they can adapt and they can ask for more, different experience, new things, everything on a touch of a click. So COVID pushed all of us, all the industry, insurance or others, to change the operating model. We all rushed to implement digital modules to support our customers. So a couple of things that the industry rapidly shifted from product-led to service-led offerings, and the customer interactions became customer journey, basically the customer experience. So with that, the technology and the new technological aspects around AI, data, continuous channel experience, they are becoming primary tools to win the modern as well as the traditional customer in present and future. So the point which Rita is saying, how are we enabling from a CRM Next perspective, how are we enabling the technological shift with our offerings, with our solutions? So another thing is, what are the trends in customer behavior that we are observing that are changing? Personalized and tailored products. Most of the times, I mean, even in motor, general insurance, we are seeing railways, people are looking, we are getting pay-as-you-go products. You pay, you get as long as you want, only through a specific journey. Home loan, you want a home loan insurance until that home loan lasts. Things like that. So personalized and tailored products. Instant gratification, the new generation, they want immediately, they want to see the results, how that can be achieved. Fast fulfillment. Ready, pre-approved insurance offers. We talked about pre-assured loans. Now, the same thing can be applicable, will be applicable in insurance as well, or wherever there are applicable immediate issuance of coverage. Most important aspect, differentiated experience. What that means is every insurance partner, every insurance industry has to bring some unique offering, differentiated experience to the end customer. Enable them, read their thoughts, what they need in their life, how they want to package their requirements, and provide them in a single click at a single place, rather than they have to scout across multiple forums, website, different companies to get their product. So that is where basically the behavior is changing, and that is what we are supporting with our AI, data, and unified customer 360 level solution. So when we say unified, integrated, when we run to change bring the digital experience, we developed in a fragments, multiple solution to take care of multiple areas in operations. Now we have to relook at the strategy to unify all our different modules under a single umbrella. So unified 360 view, which not only caters to the overall customer information, but the customer's behavior, the customer's needs, the family, the life cycle changes, or what are the best offers that we can do at a single click, not only based on what we can offer, but what we can fulfill immediately through STPs and integrated APIs across the complete insurance ecosystem, supporting the existing systems as well as the new different modules which have come all over the place. So that is where we from CRM Next bring multiple solutions, industry-specific solutions to cater the needs of end customer, enabling continuous channel agnostic customer experience.
Thanks, Raja, Rajiv, absolutely. So, and I think, yes, the way you've also tailored your applications, because I know that, you are a marketplace partner for InsurMO as well. You are one of our one of the applications which is present on our platform as well. And so personalization is so hard to achieve, right? And it's so difficult, because when you talk about long tail, right, giving everyone that everybody needs is a very, very difficult problem to solve. And I think that is where it's not an easy problem to solve. And I think what you're trying to do is probably a mindset change as well. You're tackling that. And volumes obviously is very, very important. So that is where I think, let me also pull in Gurinder, because Gurinder works with a lot of companies like this right now, because it is AWS, it's powering, I think, millions of companies across the world. So I just want to pick his brains, and I need to also understand what is AWS seeing as what it was probably in 2018, and probably what is happening right now, and what kind of players and what is the kind of application that you see getting more and more traction on AWS, and how is AWS kind of enabling this whole change from your side?
Thanks, Rajat. And I think, first of all, good afternoon to everyone. So I think very rightly said, Rajat, some of the points that you mentioned, I think the personalization piece, and one of the points that Rajiv was mentioning earlier around data, I think something which is really critical at this stage now. If you look at the industry overall, right, and having spent that much of time with the industry, as all of us has done, some of the things that we have seen is, while the entire concept of digitization or trying to go through the digital transformation has always been as something which has always been as a priority with most of the insurance carriers that is there. But I think the pandemic, the COVID scenario that happened about 2+ years back, kind of acted as a means or a catalyst to fast track this entire program. So a lot of these initiatives around digital channels, a lot of the initiative around how do you connect with customers virtually, how do you look at alternate ways of connecting with the people, with the customers, this all of a sudden became the kind of the topmost priority of the insurance carrier. And one of the key things that we're seeing in this entire piece is that data, all of a sudden, we all know this, we all knew this from the very beginning, but all of a sudden data has now been acknowledged as the key to the success by most of the insurance carriers. And that is where the data has become the key. A lot of the insurance carriers are actually looking to leverage data, not just to drive customer insights, but also to automate the business processes. So some of the key things that we're seeing is people or the customers actually adopting things like artificial intelligence. They're looking at building those machine learning models to drive automations. Now, whether this has got to do with automating business functions like eKYC or underwriting using things like your video analysis or photo analysis, or being able to extract information from documents, pictures, scans, etc., all the way to being able to automate that entire end-to-end process. I think the key objective that everyone is going towards now is to the ability to provide a more of more of a seamless or a painless experience to the customer, or a frictionless experience to the customers as they move through the entire journey across the entire life cycle, whether it's got to do with the buying process, with the sales process, or whether it's got to do with the claims process that is there. There's a heavy reliance on technologies, and there's a heavy reliance around the use of the modern technologies around being able to predict the customer behavior, being able to do predictive underwriting, being able to go and proactively inform the customers about the upcoming events or the upcoming solutions in the market. That is one of the key things that we are seeing in the market, as especially something that has come up post the pandemic that is there, Rajat.
Absolutely. So yeah, Gurinder, so I think this is the kind of same thing we've also seen. Now, you come from a core insurance background, right? And I think this is the same kind of a shift that even we saw. But luckily, we were very early in the game because Insurmo was founded 6 years back. And while the platform got matured, and all of a sudden, the pandemic hit, we saw a sudden surge for, yes, obviously data, as you said. The need for data, people were gasping for data because people wanted to bring consumers what they wanted based on their profiles, based on their buying patterns, based on a lot of other stuff. And the constraint that one box or a core system or a back office system has, you can't meet those kind of needs. So I think where we saw a huge uptake, and I think our platform Insurmo kind of almost tripled in the last 3 years. So last year we saw around $20 billion of premium just getting powered on our platform alone. We connected with 5,000 channels. So that itself was a proof point for us that yes, the vision that we believed in was obviously, that channels will be erupting and things will be going more digital, more API led. But the fact is, pandemic actually fast tracked that. We had so much demand that scaling up and meeting the demands for so many channels, so many carriers was itself very, very difficult. But the fact is, they made insurance interesting. It was such a boring industry. A carrier used to work with agents, maybe some branches and some websites. Such a boring stuff, right? They never had the need to change. But all of a sudden, insurance is so interesting. Everybody wants to connect with fintechs. They want to talk to internet players. They're building super app. Then they're doing customer journeys. And every carrier today wants to work with 100 partners. Great amount of business for people like CRM Next because 100 partners means probably 1,000 journeys, and but at the same time there is a huge amount of problem to be solved. So I guess this is the most exciting time, at least from an insurance standpoint. Every industry, yes. Reason why I believe insurance is the most interesting is because insurance is so embedded in every single industry, right? So we work with banks, we work with fintechs, we work with auto dealers, manufacturers, we work with utility companies, electricity companies, boiler companies, all that kind of stuff are embedding insurance. So it's never been so exciting, specifically for us to be in the insurance. So that is where I think I'll again come back to Rajiv. Now, Rajiv, as I said, right, it's very exciting, great for business, great for what you are trying to do. You're trying to solve a customer experience problem. But at the same time, there would be challenges, right? Because we have our own share of challenges. While I was running the whole business for Insurmo, I know how hard it is to put it through, but we kind of understood some challenges. I just want to hear your views from a CRM Next perspective. When you talk to insurers, and you can even bring in a banking perspective as well into that, if you would to, or any other industries as well. So what are the challenges you saw from your perspective when customers started asking you for all these kinds of requirements and new customer journeys to be built?
Definitely, Rajat. It's a very interesting time. And all of us are talking about pure digital journeys and the digital channels. And as you said that the boring insurance has changed. The boring insurance has changed not only for the digitally connected people, but our rural workforce as well. So there is a rural untapped business, remote areas people, they still need physical touch, physical branches. So how are we enabling it? So it's a change, it's a shift, the hybrid model. And the CRM Next applications or the solutions are not only focused on the new workforce or the digital oriented channels only, but providing tools in the hands of our rural workforce, sales force to tap the business where the insurance coverage is still missing, or they are just on the traditional products, old products, simple investment pension products kind of a thing, and they don't know about term insurance, they don't know about other aspects, health insurance aspects which are coming into the market, which are important. So how do we do that? Journeys, digital journeys, you said, assisted. There are two parts: self-service journeys by the partners or the end customer, but as well as assisted journeys. So we are providing tools in the hands of Salesforce, which they can perform everything through the mobile sitting next to the customers on their behalf. So we are providing the assisted journeys as well. Co-browsing options. When any customer needs support in completing the documentation, immediately it is transferred to the relationship manager, the RM, the smart RM, where he will open and then help assist complete their journey. Other channel is basically on all the information when they were like traditionally, people will say they will call the call center, they will take your ticket, they will basically say somebody will call you back with a solution. Here now coming back to our new generation Z, which does not have patience. They need immediate resolution. They want to have better experience, again, differentiated experience. So what they want is they want to know when the problem will be solved if you're not solving. Claims. So I have my personal experience. In the claims, whenever you look for a digital bot or a chat bot, it tells you, yeah, it is in progress, but by what time, but when you will get an answer. You never get a clarity. You have to call their call center to find out. So we are integrating the complete answers through AI and ML into a single view, regardless of the channel a customer approaches, regardless of the way we connect to the customer, the similar information, the same experience will be done. Pre-sales to sales to servicing. Our sales force, when they are visiting the customer, they are empowered to the CRM Next mobile apps to provide service. They know when their customer's birth anniversary, marriage anniversary, or life cycle change event is occurring. They have the reminders, they have the insights for the upsell cross-sell. And with Data Next platform, data is becoming very important. There is specific customer segmentation. The customer fully digital focus. They don't want to talk to people. They want to do their homework first. Give them inputs, give them sorts of details at a single place. Then we have the customers who want to do in hybrid mode. They still want to go to physical branches. Or then there are customers who want to go phygital. They want branches to come to their home. With the CRM Next solutions, we enable all that on the different devices, whether you are on a desktop, you are an ops sitting in a back office, or you are a mobile person on the road. You are having all the necessary information on a single click, and you can enable, again, the pre-sales to sales to post-sales journey seamlessly across all channels.
Phygital is a new word I have learned today. I actually never heard of it. So it's like, when I was in India for some time, I saw that, if you order something from Myntra, the person brings 5 different dresses of 5 different sizes, and then you can wait outside and whatever you like, just take one and discard the other ones, and then you pay cash on delivery. So, it's so difficult to manage customer experience, but the fact is, and how these internet companies, specifically the likes of all these Flipkarts and Myntras of the world, how they are defining and they are spoiling the customers. I'll not even say defining, they're spoiling the customers to with so many choices and so much of convenience that it makes it very, very difficult for a large player or a traditional player who's so much of legacy to kind of transform and match to that speed, right? And I think the same thing, even we see, it's so difficult to bridge it. But the fact is, again, we are also trying to solve the same problem, but we are trying to solve the problem from an insurance infrastructure perspective, right? So you need a digital product, you need a traditional product, you need to package it, you need all kinds of APIs, you need to hook up to the core, you need to work with the internet. So you need a bridge, so that is a problem that we are trying to solve. So I can completely understand. And this phygital is a very, very good term. I think I'm going to use it next time in my sales deck. So, and coming back to Gurinder, right? So any of these phygital stuff that you see, or any of this stuff that how that Rajiv spoke about, do you see that any other companies also trying to do something similar in that space, and how these customer touch points and you also bring a lot of tools, right? AWS has so much of tools itself, because we use a lot of that tools for our development, and companies are doing it. So what is your experience in all of that?
Yeah, so I think if you look at the challenges that are being faced, right? I think if you broadly split that into two broad buckets, right, Rajat, which is looking at the challenges that the customers face and looking at the challenges that the insurance carriers face in order to meet those customer expectations or requirements, right? So the first bucket around the customer, the challenges that the customers face, that is there, right, is it's more around something that Rajiv spoke about. I think other customers are what they're expecting today are a more of a seamless journey across all the channels. If you look at today, right, if I open up my mobile and I go into Netflix and and I want to just browse through what are the different options that are there. I want to start watching a movie. I don't like it. I switch to another one. Don't like that. I switch over to a series that is there. It's a pretty simple. I stop a movie on my mobile and go onto my laptop or I go onto my television. I basically pick it up from where I start. So I think that those are some of the things that the customers are experiencing nowadays, especially with these Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z customers that is there, and they expect the same thing from the insurance carriers as well. When they say that I've started an interaction with an insurance carrier on their mobile app or through a chatbot, and then they say, "Hey guys, I need assistance from your contact center, or I need assistance from your agents, etc." They basically are expecting a seamless handover from that one channel of distribution to the another channel of distribution that is there. Now, second, I think one of the bigger expectations of the customer also is that they are wanting to have those products available to them that they want, not necessarily that they have to go through a long list of all the menu of the customers that an insurance company has, which can go from anywhere between 10, 15, a smaller number, to all the way to 100, 150 products. And we have all seen this with insurance companies offering that. Now, if we switch over to what the insurance companies are facing, this is what the customers expect, but the challenges that the insurance carriers are facing, and Rajat, to your point, absolutely, what the challenge that they have is it's a legacy. Their biggest challenge has today been the legacy infrastructure and the legacy solutions that they have in their in-house data centers. Now, in order for them to modernize, in order for them to meet these customer requirements, so the key things there is, do they need to have an API ecosystem built? And Rajat, EBAU is a big partner for us, the Insure World. We have been working with a lot of customers in that sense to help them build that entire API ecosystem and being able to connect with all the various different partners that is there. So that's one area that is one of the biggest challenges that you're seeing from the insurance customer side. The other bigger thing that we're seeing also is while the insurance carriers are introducing these new digital tools, let's say to Rajiv's point earlier, right? These co-browsing, co-sharing tools, etc. But the challenge that the carriers face is how do they ensure that their own sales force and their own sales teams, whether it's the agency channels, the broker channels, the bank insurance channels, they are coming up to speed with these new digital technologies and solutions that is there. If you look at the industry, right, the average age of an insurance agent is about 40 plus, 45 plus. That's typically, at least it may actually be more than that, and getting those people up to speed on the newer technologies is a big thing. So training, enablement, and all of those things is one of the biggest challenges that we're also seeing with the insurance carriers there. Again, so I think these are some of those challenges that the insurance carriers are facing, and the way we are trying to help them is bringing in this whole set of those AWS services from our side, which allows them to not just our services, but also a whole series of partners on our side, like basically CRM Next and eBound there, to help them modernize their solutions, to help them build that entire omni-channel solutions, to help them build that entire seamless experience and leverage the AI, the artificial intelligence and the machine learning services to automate their entire business processes and achieve that stuff. And plus the entire aspects of enablement around that piece, so the insurance companies can build their own internal capability around these new technologies and the new services in the market.
And I think as we're speaking about the topic, so there is, I just saw the question and answer window. So there's a question right now coming from Srikanth Kulkarni, and I think it's kind of touching the same topic. So I'll just bring it right into the mix. I'll not wait for the Q&A at the end. So again, I think Srikanth is asking the same question here. So the question, I'll read out the question. So it says how the dependency on external systems is managed in this improved customer journey. As insurance industry has a lot of dependence on external entities. So So yeah, I think let me also take a stab at it, and then probably I'll come back to Rajiv as well. So Srikanth, this is what we were discussing, and this is what Gurinder also mentioned, that there is a massive legacy in the insurance industry, and this is a common problem globally. This is specifically for the more mature economies. That's even a bigger problem, because a small core system has become very big, and it's become it's become spaghetti, right? It's very difficult to manage these core systems, and replacing a core system in today's age is not a very simple problem to solve. And plus, it is not in these days, right? People don't want to go and do a 5-year core replacement program and spend hundreds of millions of dollars and wait for light at the end of the tunnel and see one system replaced by another system, right? So I think that is gone. So how do you still solve that problem of customer experience, bringing digital, connecting to thousands of partners, hundreds of partners? So I think what we are doing and how we are trying to solve that problem with a lot of partners like CRM Next is we bring the middle layer on top of the legacy core pass. We are not advising people to go and replace these legacy. Let those legacy be there, let them be there and try and reduce them into system of records. But don't expose your legacy to your customers and partners, because your customer is in 1,000 different places. They're in a food app, they're in a car rating app, they're in a mobile, they're in an app, they're in an e-commerce place, so they're everywhere. So your core systems cannot meet the needs for where these customers are. So you need something which works at probably 100x the speed of your core. So we call it a 2-speed architecture. So if your core runs at X, you need something which is 100x on top of it, which could manage your customers and partners. And then comes the customer experience bit. That is where companies like CRM Next are actually, driving every single journeys the way channels are. And that is where they understand. They work with probably hundreds of customers in the insurance space, and they understand. And probably those 100 customers work with thousands of the channels. So they understand, how these channels are evolving, what is the expectation the customer has, and they use a lot of APIs that come from us, because they sit on our marketplace and they design a lot of that stuff. And I think, yes, this is what we've seen for some of the largest players. And I'm talking of large multinationals who have adopted that approach and who are going that way. And they're waiting for their systems to kind of hollow it out. So they're hollowing it out and they're bringing those transactions into a middle office platform like Insurers, and then probably, let CRM Next take up, most of these customer journeys. What do you say, Rajiv? Because that's a very valid question, right? How do you address this concern of legacy? One option is that you work with us, and obviously, but we are not everywhere. How do you solve that problem?
Thank you, Rajat, and thanks, Srikanth, for that question. Rajat, your points about legacy were bang on. I know a couple of insurers actually who are now kind of taking the initiative to do the policy admin transformation to kind of come out of this problem, but majority of the insurers do not want to invest. They simply say legacy system of records. We did multiple evaluations. Even recently, day before yesterday, I was in talk with a major policy insurer in India. We did a lot of analysis, multiple years, decided not to move away from our AS400 based system. Rest everything we are putting in cloud, middle office, everything. So multiple strategies by different customers, but primarily around the same one. Front office, middle office, back office. Originally, we used to have front office and back office, but now the system of record is keeping on back office. If the legacy system is at least able to provide some APIs, we'll integrate that. Otherwise, we are bringing the middle layer, just like you said. Insurers is one of our interfacing system that can help, or the data lake. ODS, where the data can be moved in and then APIs can be built on top of the data to integrate with CRM Next. So that is one way where we integrate the internal insurance, internal ecosystem, end-to-end from a single perspective, single view for the users, all functionality, all processing available through CRM Next portal, being routed, integrated through middle office, data layers, ODS, etc. I think in Srikanth's question, there is a second aspect. There are other external, just trying to look at the question, but there are other external parties as well where we have to integrate. KYC, NSDL, grievance management. So for that also, we bring certain adapters, predefined adapters, partnerships, integrations, ready to use APIs, which enable the integration seamlessly. And one other thing on CRM Next is we are a no-code, low-code platform. What that means is not only the design of the flows, design of the journeys is seamless. Also, the integration is also as a configuration can be done. We don't rely on coding. So a lot of inbuilt adapters for standard integrations available, ready to use plugin, and anything for any source, we have to pick up the data. The APIs are exposed for various channel sources based on their requirement. If the source requires a different journey, specific journey, we can enable that too, or we can give a generic process flow so that the users, basically the insurer, companies, employees, partners, agents, they don't get confused. They are able to perform a simple, easy to use operations. They are able to handle customers similarly, in a similar manner, all information, and help them service with the best of experience. So that is how we enable.
Great. So I think Rajiv and Gurinder, let's do this. There are quite a few questions. So rather than and I'm just looking at the time as well. We are just at the end of the hour right now, based on the panel. So what I'll do is I'll go through the questions and quickly we'll probably answer and then come back again to see if there is anything else. So there's another question from Rishabh, which I see here. So the question talks about how do we scale returns from investment on digital in the insurance industry. Again, I think digital in the insurance right now, if you look at from a dollar value perspective, it is still very small, right? My take is that 99% of the business in the insurance still comes from the traditional products, right? But the fact is it going to stay this forever? The answer is obviously no. Why we are or anybody else is trying to make digital so heavy is because we believe that this is going to happen, and the amount of channels that we see and the amount of how channels are becoming strong, I believe this ratio will become more and more equal, kind of a 50-50 in very soon time to come. So basically, any amount of investment that is going in today, that will obviously scale. I don't think so there's any downturn. It's only going to improve. AWS is also putting so much money. You are investing into so many startups. You're also bringing so much of our funds. So I'm not sure, Gurinder, what are your views on that?
In terms of the investment, right, and Rajat, you're correct. So currently, if you look at the industry, right, a very large, in fact, a majority of the business is still coming from the traditional channels, whether it is the tied agents, the brokers, or the bank assurance world that is there. The direct to consumer business is still very small, and hence, obviously, but the fact also is that the companies are realizing the potential of this, and again, they're also realizing that the digital is not just for direct to customers. The digital channels, when they're looking at an overall digital strategy, it's about across all channels of distribution. And I think this is where providing that ability to the insurance customers around to be able to start quickly, experiment on new things, and start adopting those things. That is this entire concept that typically is called as the fail fast, recover fast kind of the model that is there. And that is something which is being picked up by the customers more often than not now. And I think this is where they really like they really want the ability to be able to switch on and switch off things as per the need and the requirements. And this is where they are looking more and more towards the cloud for their entire journey to experiment the things. The ability to quickly start a program, experiment with that. If it is successful, to be able to then quickly scale up from that standpoint. But unfortunately, if it is not a success, then to quickly ramp down and not necessarily having seen that there's so much of capex tied into that particular investment that is already now sunk cost for them. And this is where I think AWS is actually working with them, not just to provide them with the newer technologies around artificial intelligence and data and those pieces, but also basically the primary ability to kind of scale quickly, to experiment quickly, and then obviously, if it is successful, to have the ability to scale as quickly as possible around their entire programs that is there.
There are two questions which are almost similar. So Navneet and Ranjit, they have a question, and I think the discussion that they're trying to bring is towards AI, and that obviously is AI cannot be left out of any discussion, right? And now there is Web3, there is all kinds of stuff which is again coming very big. So I think both Rajiv and Gurinder, what are your take on that? Because you are leveraging a lot of that technology, right? Because customer experience AI will be very important. You talk about data, and AWS itself is betting big on AI. So let me start with Rajiv to address that question, and then probably Gurinder, a minute from your side as well.
Sure. Thanks, Rajat. And I will club this with the previous question as well, the return on investment on digital. So while you clearly said the dollar share or the top line revenue from digital will increase over time, another use case is to decrease the cost. Return on investment can be identified. So two use cases, bots first. Maximize the interaction on servicing and wherever possible for Gen Z on sales through bots, not only to handle their requirements, servicing requests, but sales to instant fulfillment through STPs. So you start your journey through a bot, you move to the system in a self-assisted journey, you buy, you complete your process, and sometimes without any human involvement, end-to-end process can be completed. And that means efficiency, operational efficiency for the insurers, reduced cost, better coverage, better customer experience, better NPS. Second use case is increased managed portfolio. In insurance, while in banking, we have a concept of a dedicated RM. We have a very few cases, insurance policy, where we have a dedicated RM assigned to insurance policy. With this unified customer 360, integrated architecture, as well as real-time insights, advanced playbooks available on customer 360, a single RM can manage 10 times the portfolio he or she used to do before in traditional channels. Because AI will give the next best action. What is the customer behavior? What should we recommend? What is the product? He doesn't have to search. He doesn't have to go to product manuals. It will be readily available on fingertips. We'll say, okay, this product meets your needs. You're looking for a joint life insurance? Here it is. So this is how CRM Next is enabling, bringing AI into picture, as well as helping our partners achieve cost benefits or improve return on investment, basically on technology investments.
Yeah, so I think if again, purely from an industry perspective, right, for the insurance, if we kind of take it to a 100,000 feet level view, the three main objectives that every carrier is looking for, right? So one is increase revenue, decrease cost, and third, manage risk. And the AI or these new AI technologies and services that are available today in the market, this is an area where we are seeing the companies leverage those AI technologies across all three to meet all of those three objectives. So when it comes to increasing revenue, it is about looking at identifying those product gaps and being able to do a much more personalized product recommendations to the customer, like what Rajiv was mentioning, like leveraging data to do the entire personalization of product recommendations piece that is there, identifying and being able to build in new partnerships with the entire ecosystem play that is there. When it comes to managing cost or reducing the cost, and this is where we are seeing a bigger impact from an AI technology, is about how do you automate those processes to become completely touchless, which is there's no human intervention involved in either completing the sales process or doing a claims notification or doing the claims adjudication piece that is there. And this is where we are seeing an increased usage of some of those AI technologies, like the conversion of voice to text, or the extraction of data from documents, or doing sentiment analysis of the customers that is there, being able to do completely automated underwriting, completely automated claims adjudication pieces that is there. That's the use of those AI technologies around that entire cost piece. And finally, I think around the managing the risk, and this is where the pieces around being the ability to be able to predict the losses, the ability to do predictive risk assessments and predictive risk modeling, doing catastrophe modeling, etc. All of those areas is where we are seeing a much larger use of artificial intelligence, and along with that, typically comes along with the ability to do your machine learning and self-learning models built on the back of those AI technologies and services.
And on the same model, just propensity model.
Yep.
So that basically helps us focus on where the sure leads are, where the high chances of conversion. And AI brings a lot of value. Otherwise, all our agents keep following or chasing the leads which do not materialize.
Thanks. I think we'll take another two questions and then we'll try and wrap it up. So there is one question around from Abhijit, which talks about multi-cloud capabilities. That how should insurance industry best leverage multi-cloud capabilities? I can talk for it because we are multi-cloud. We are on different cloud environments in different countries. And yes, you could be now there are two aspects to it, right? If it is a service provider, it's a platform like us. Being multi-cloud obviously helps because that ends up you covering multiple countries, multiple regions, multiple types of regulations, etc., etc. All of that stuff does make sense, but as a single insurer in a particular country, do you have to be multi-cloud? So the answer to that again depends on what is the need for it. The only thing is, cloud it still is a cloud till the time it is giving you enough scalability, till the time it is giving you enough to realize your business benefits. And even if you could move from on-prem onto the cloud, that itself I think meets a lot of need purely from a single insurer perspective. Having multiple cloud from a risk standpoint or a DR standpoint, that's a different story altogether. But I think we see as a platform provider, we see a lot of value in being multi-cloud because we are in almost 35 countries, different clouds. We run our public cloud. We have a design time runtime engine, so we run our design time globally on AWS, whereas the runtime is on almost every single cloud provider that you see. Yes, from an insurer standpoint, as I said, it all depends on the weightage that you have. So Gurinder probably can again answer his views as well on that. What do you say, Gurinder?
Yeah, so I think this is a pretty common question that we come across, Abhijit, when we're having the conversation with different customers, right? Whether they should be going in for a multi-cloud or what's the typical model that they should be adopting. And so I think the point that is something that Rajat was mentioning earlier, right? It needs to be looked into as to what is the real need for multi-cloud there. If you look at it, right, if for the same business case or if for the same workload, you look at multi-cloud, you might actually end up increasing or doubling up your cost. If you have the same workload deployed on two different cloud providers, that would actually add up to more of a cost to the company. But again, at the end of the day, it still depends upon what is the actual use case or what is the actual business requirement that is prompting up this multi-cloud conversation or the multi-cloud discussion that is there. More often than not, for in our experience with the various customers, the customers have tried to stick to the cloud provider that they have selected. And when the people who are using AWS for the particular workload, they would like to stick to a single cloud provider on that particular space. As an organization, they can be multi-cloud, but I think for a single cloud provider, there could be multiple different use cases around those areas that is there.
Absolutely. Yep, and this is a never-ending problem in local clouds, global cloud providers. So that obviously comes there. Just one last question, and then probably I'll try and wrap up with one final comments from probably all of us, and then probably I'll hand it over to Rahul. So there is one question from Steffi. So Steffi is asking that how important is it for insurers to move away from legacy systems to modernize customer experience? I think we've answered this question in a different fashion, but again, my take is very simple. You don't have to go and replace your legacy or your back office or your core systems, because solving a customer experience problem is not a problem of core. Core is not meant to solve that problem. First of all, that problem has to be dealt in a different fashion. Your core or your back office, as we call it, is meant for your back office operations. You have to run your operations on it. It's for your underwriters, it's for actuarials. But for your customers, you need, as we discussed, you need data. You need faster processing capabilities. You need immediate response times. You need omni-channel stuff. So if a customer logs in a call at call center, and if he wants to close a policy in your branch, or if he wants to close a policy on Instagram or Facebook, you should have that capability so that the way the customer leaves, you could, take the journey forward from another channel. So that is the kind of capabilities customers need. And if you expect your core systems or your legacies to do that, that is a wrong expectations, right? And there are so mature companies in the world, which have very stable core systems or legacy. Now, in order to solve a problem of Apple, you can't go and touch a banana here. So that's where we are trying to tell you that legacies have to be there. Let them be there. Eventually that can be reduced as a system of records, or they're already doing a decent job for you in terms of your back office. Where we try and solve that problem is using middle office. using APIs, using ready products and connectivity. And I think the same thing, I think what I'll do is, I'll take this as a chance to, take one final bite from Rajiv and Gurinder, while we wrap up this discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Rajat. And Steffi, a very good question here. While Rajat has put his point of view very clearly and he has explained the use case, I will just give two use cases from the two different customers we are doing. One of our customers has actually taken a journey to do legacy transformation, modernization. And while they have a business case to do that. During the 3 to 5 years journey, while they are migrating from their legacy platform to the new platform, we are enabling not only their customers, but their users, the branches, to have a simple, similar, seamless experience. In fact, it is not even mattering to them which system they are performing an operation of, where they are issuing the policy or doing the servicing of that policy, because CRM Next is providing a platform agnostic experience to them. That's one use case. Second use case is another customer we have just started integrating. They have a block of business distributed across multiple modules. Even, their policy admin is distributed in various functionality. They don't have a single policy admin for even in the policy processing, servicing is also distributed in different various modules. How we are doing it? We are doing it changing the way they operate by bringing CRM Next in front, such that even their underwriters or even their back office people may not have to work directly on the policy admin. They will use the CRM Next UI platform mobile app to do all their day-to-day jobs. With the help of data in the mid-tier layer, with the help of APIs which are available, we are automating end-to-end journeys and giving a single source of truth as well as single place to do all the operations.
Yeah, and I think that's right, Rajiv. So I think if you look at the larger CX transformation, right, and any insurance carrier, for that matter, financial services institution that is embarking on this program of CX transformation, I think there are three broad areas on that. One is around how can they leverage the entire data piece, how can they build a data platform and leverage the data around that piece there, whether that is ingesting the data from internal sources or even ingesting data from external sources around that piece. The second one is around the capabilities of the entire omni-channel solution, is the ability to provide a seamless experience across all the various channels of distribution and all the various channels of engagement with the customers across the entire life cycle, practically. The third, around the legacy transformation, which is the question that was raised by Steffi also, is the point. And again, to Raj's point, it's not about changing the back office core platform, which may be running on a mainframe or it's a monolithic system or any of those things there. It's about building in those transformation layers on top of those legacy platforms to enable you to achieve the other two objectives, which is the omni-channel objective as well as the data objectives, being able to leverage the data from those platforms, being able to provide this customer experience across the various channels, and building up those API layers, building up those systems of engagements around that. Slowly, those legacy can become system of records, and all of those business functionalities can be moved outside. Having products set up outside of the core systems is another area that is becoming more and more prevalent in the industry as well. So I think just to summarize on that would be, it's not about replacing the legacy, it is about transforming the entire ecosystem to be able to provide that experience to the customers.
There's a term which is being used at places, front-ending the business.
Yeah.
So slowly move your business from core to front.
One word for it, like digital.
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 Okay, great. I think this was a great panel, great discussion. Thank you so much, Gurinder, Rajiv. I thoroughly enjoyed the session.
Thanks, Rajat. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you, Rajat. Thank you, Gurinder, and thank you, Rajiv, for the insights and very actionable use cases across the insurance technology space, right from the cloud infrastructure to middle layer to customer facing solutions. So I'd like to just summarize on few ideas which we can take from
and action on. So I have noted down few of them. So one is creating a unified view with straight through processes. So today the customer doesn't want to wait, but wants instant results. So how can you create straight through processes and not just give information which is half kind of. Second is how you can maximize customer lifecycle value using artificial intelligence and data, which has become very critical today. Third, Rajiv brought a very good point on, everyone is focusing on servicing the digital savvy customers and the urban customers, but how can you tap the unserved rural market, which is still using just the traditional insurance product? So there is a big market there, and how you can enable your sales team and servicing teams to serve this market with mobile applications or on iPads, and explain them in an easy way about the modern insurance product. I think third, which I noted was how you can create 360 views, not just for customer facing teams, but for your back office team, and providing a layer on top of the legacy system. So not necessarily changing the whole core or back office system, but creating a layer with a modern UI UX to help the middle office and the back office teams kind of. So these were some very good action items which I could take from the session. So thank you so much for giving this diverse perspective, and we'll look forward to again arrange a session based on the user feedback. And I saw there were many questions which some questions we could not answer, but I'll try and get the response from the panelists and email them. So thank you everyone. Thank you once again.